And what do you find was the most interesting part about creating the concept world?
So much.
I think it was really interesting, the discussions that we all had early on about what are, as these characters in the framing, in the concept, what are our new rules for society? How do we view the events that transpired that now we're telling the story? About how do we go forward from that? It's not just about the past, it's also about like the future.
Everything that was in that came from, for me, like this base of forgiveness, right? Because we bring in the Volscian. Is it Volscian or Volscian? Volscian. The Volscian.
That's
right. Me. As one of us. And she's not downplayed or exiled or like made to walk in the back. Right, she's in the front. She has an important job, and what does that mean for a civilization who's been completely crumbled, completely disintegrated? How do you build from that? How do you find that in you to bring this outsider along with you? It was very interesting for me to kind of think about.
I like the concept that, you know, the men have pretty much destroyed the world, and so now it's up to all of the women, regardless of who they are, to whom they were married, where they came from, what they did, to band together and build everything back up.
And I think they tell this story, and they probably started telling this story long before the little one was even born. But I think they've told this story to remind each other, to remind the kids who didn't live through it, the folly of men and their egos, and not to gender bash, but for this story, it is very pertinent that, you know, men's egos got in the way. You know, it was basically a pissing contest. I'm bigger and badder than you. No, I'm bigger and badder than you, you know.
Was it though? Because Volumnia like pushed Coriolanus to be this person that he didn't want to be.
But he still carried through with the murder of other people. You know.
What do you think, Volumnia?
Well, I disagree with you on the fact that I pushed him. I think he's also himself. There's a part of him that I formed as a character, but as a person, but I can't change who he is himself.
I think Volumnia is probably a product of Rome society.
Yeah.
She is a product of the men around her, you know, just society's rules. She could have been the smartest human being in Rome, and she still would have been a lower class citizen just because she's not a man.
Say that. Say that.
So she has grown up with that. It's been indoctrinated into her. It was indoctrinated into her mother. It's an ongoing vicious cycle. And sadly, the only way that ended, at least for Volumnia, was for Caius to die, for, you know, basically Rome to fall. And I think in some ways it was probably harder on her in the beginning, and it might still be a little difficult now, but I think not having that structure and not having those set rules probably was a little challenging for Volumnia. Because you go from one very set lifestyle to the complete unknown.
Yeah, we've gotten like an Etch-a-Sketch end of civilization here.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we can point fingers at Volumnia, but I really think she was a product of Rome as well. They were raised to think you go off to war as a man, you find glory, your name, you know, it's carried on through the ages, and the gods recognize you, and it's so amazing and important. I'm sure inside, at least from a real life mother's standpoint, she's thinking, I don't want my son running off and getting killed. You know, this is my only son. But she can't actually voice that. She can't actually act on that because it's not.
She sent them. She said, I sent them to her.
Yeah, I sent him to the...
But I think that's because she's supposed to. I don't think she had a choice in that either.
Well, right, and then all of the young men were expected to go regardless of
And
what
that's
their
what I'm saying,
mothers
yes.
wanted them to do. So even if his mother was advocating like, no, I don't want you to go, Rome would have been like, you're going to this war, you are old enough and you're gonna go fight for us.
Yeah. I think she probably
fighting,
supported the war.
But the consulship is the
Well,
thing.
I think she saw that as her treat. Like, I watched my son get wounded, he's come back, I feel that
That's
he
what I was
has
talking about.
earned this. Okay, see, I
That's
thought you were
exactly what I'm
talking
saying.
about when she sent him off into battle.
No, I was saying
because
about
that's kind of
consulship.
expected. But I think that's also a part of, again, she's expecting this reward for doing a certain duty.
Yeah,
because
you just said
that's
exactly what I was
that's
saying.
what their society was about. You know, she expected him to now be consul. He was the great hero. He, fought these wars, had these wounds. He did everything he was supposed to do.
What did his wife want?
Nobody cares because she's female.
I didn't want him to go to war in the first place. Well, as Virgilia really clearly was like constantly worried, like about everything that was happening. And then like the whole consulship, it got out of hand. She like just spends the whole time wishing he would have walked away. She has so many like one-liners about like why don't you? It's not like you are not obliged to listen to what all of their stereotypes are.
And when is it?
December 7th, 8th, 13th, and 14th at 7 p.m. at the Industrial and Agricultural Museum in York.
Like and subscribe!
What she said.